Hey guys, it's Maria Park and welcome to Approach the Nerd. And in this lovely live stream, we are talking about the season finale. And we can now say season because they just dropped that we're going to get a season 2 of Loki. So that is awesome. But this is the season finale review for Loki episode 6. And yeah, we got some stuff to talk about. So if you followed me on my journey of reviewing Loki episode 1 through 5, you know, I always talked about the time twisters. And when the time twisters, if you've read the comics, you know, the time twisters were created by He Who Remains. And I always thought that that's the direction they were going. They were going to go in the direction where we got the time twisters and we found out that the time keepers were actually their predecessors, the time, twisters, and they were just messing up everything throughout time, which is what happened in the comics. It literally caused He Who Remains to literally wipe them from existence. And then he created the timekeepers. So I thought that's where we were going. But then we saw that the timekeepers were robotic. They basically didn't exist. So it seems like the MCU did completely away with that storyline. And so everyone was thinking, okay, well, now we're dealing with, Kang the Conqueror. Now, what's interesting to me is, and the recap of this episode, we see that, Loki and Sylvie have made it to the Citadel, the last place at the end of time. And they've met Jonathan Major's version of, I'm calling him Nathaniel Richards, because that's essentially who his character is, even though, yes, he's Kang. Yes, he was, Ratatouille. He's a bunch of other people in the comics. Essentially, that is who he is. But we meet Major's version of what we're seeing as a version of Kang the Conqueror. Now, if you saw the title of this video, I specifically said that I did not believe that this was the Kang the Conqueror, because if you've also read the comics, then you know that Kang the Conqueror is basically an evil son of a bee. Like, he is a very evil man. And Kang the Conqueror would be somebody that we would see in the Ant-Man versus Wasp movie that's coming out. I want to say in 2022, but I mean, honestly, I don't know at this point because of COVID. Everything's all over the place. I'll have to go back and look at the timeline. But this is not Kang the Conqueror. This is Immortus, because Immortus in the comics basically was put in charge of doing the exact same thing, pruning the timeline. But the Immortus, which is basically a very older version of Kang the Conqueror at this point, was tired of being a villain, was tired of fighting. I mean, he'd been into so many battles with the Avengers and everyone else in the comics. He was just tired. So his solution was to just sit there and just weed out all the crap, and the timelines. And that is why I keep hearing people on board and stuff say, oh, it's Kang the Conqueror. And even I said, oh, they're definitely going to use a Kang the Conqueror storyline. But I really do believe, especially when Majors in this episode said, I've been known by many names. And he starts saying, I was a scientist. I was a conqueror. That tells you right there, he's not the Kang the Conqueror that we're about to see in phase 4. So we're looking at Immortus right now. He also has never been He Who Remains, because He Who Remains is a completely different entity in the comics. So it's interesting, the choice to combine Immortus and He Who Remains as one being, because this was a feeble, old man in the comics. So it's a completely different character altogether. So I'm very curious to see basically what's going to happen with this. But I will say I really enjoyed this episode. And from what I can tell, phase 4's basically the multiverse, the secret invasion, everything that's happening, the secret war, everything that is happening and coming in phase 4 is essentially Sylvie's fault. She made the choice to stab He Who Remains. And that basically is going to lead to a bunch of crap. We are going to see the other incarnations of Nathaniel Richards. I don't think we're just going to see Kang the Conqueror. I think we're going to see Ratatouille. We're going to see a bunch of his other variants, and which is exciting. It is exciting because, I mean, the one thing Immortus was not lying about, I'm the tame villain. And that's basically what I say. You have no idea what you would be unleashing if you kill me. And another reason I want to say that is not the true He Who Remains. In the comic version of He Who Remains, he has the ability to basically suck out all of the energy from your body to basically immobilize you. So with Loki and Sylvie being at the Citadel, they would not have had the energy or strength to cut down the real He Who Remains, because he does look old, he does look feeble, but he is extremely powerful. So yeah, like I said, the choices in this episode was interesting, but that's how I've been feeling about everything since we start, since WandaVision. They MCU does its own thing. So again, so taking away from the comics now, because I mean, I'm pretty much comicked out. I guess we're on a new track that's just loosely based on the comics. Yeah, I really am. I really love the fact that if you look at Loki, when he's sent back to the TVA and he's talking to Mobius, and he was talking to Hunter, that they kind of looked at him and were like, who the heck are you? And he's basically saying, oh crap, stuff is going on, down, you don't know what's coming. Evil is happening. The world's going to chaos. All the timelines are being proved, blah, blah, blah. And, disaster. And then Mobius is like, yeah, who the hell are you? Oh, you're an analyst, right? Like, they didn't even realize he was Loki. So, yeah. And then we see the statue without the helmet of Kang the Conqueror. So in this reality, it seems we're right at the time pruning, basically. He wants all of the timelines pretty much pruned. So yeah, I'm excited. I am really, really excited for what is going to happen now that we're getting a season 2, but also how this is going to play in with Doctor Strange. What's going to happen with Spider-Man, what's going to happen with, pretty much every MCU Phase 4 property, movie and show that's coming out is going to be affected by this, because it's kind of like what happened with Crisis on Infinite Poop over at the CW, only this one actually will probably have effects that make sense. So I'm very, very excited. Hi, Terrell. How are you doing? I wasn't expecting Marvel Studios to debut Jonathan's version of one of Kang's variants this early in the MCU. Yeah, but to be fair, they did do the same thing in Falcon and Winter Soldier. We got Madam Hydra before she was in Black Widow. So I guess they're just trying to, throw everything together. And I think these were always the plans. I just think they were trying to throw fans off, because we're always speculating and we're always throwing out theories. And I think they probably like to trip us up. So this was probably always the plan to debut his character in some capacity in this. But I will tell you, in the elevator scene where we see them going up to his office, I laughed so hard because he was in there eating that Granny Smith apple and he picked his nose and then he just started touching that apple again. I'm like, instead of He Who Remains, my angry grandma you guys met yesterday, he's about to be He Who Got Smacked. I'm like, that is so gross. And Majors was playing the hell out of that role. So I am very excited for the casting for this. Is really cool. I have no complaints whatsoever. He was, I just loved how he was explaining everything, but it was kind of like in a matter of fact way. It's like, I'm the man. I make all decisions. You have 2 choices. You could either kill me and meet the eviler versions of me, or you can work for me. I can retire and you can take over. And of course, he played on the fact that Sylvie does not have the ability to trust, and he played on it. And it won, and she stabbed him, and then she sat down and cried, because at that point, it's like, I heard it. It was in this moment she realized she effed up. And I'm like, yeah, it's a mess. It is a mess. Marvel Studios has confirmed that Kang the Conqueror is the next big bad. Loki himself had recently said that What If animated series is canon. I believe it. Yeah. I just think in this, like right now, the version of Nathaniel that they met is actually Immortus. It's not Kang the Conqueror. They haven't met Kang the Conqueror yet. So that when they meet Kang the Conqueror, that is going to be a whole other level, which I am, I'm like I said, it's going to open up a lot of bull crap, because initially, before we got Loki with WandaVision, I thought we were doing a modified version of House of M. And what I mean by that, instead of her whispering, no more mutants, she said no more magic, which again would have affected everybody who had magic-based powers. Loki, Sylvie, Doctor Strange, hence why Wanda is basically in Doctor Strange's movie. And then it would have given validity, considering he was the one going around the multiverse trying to learn magic again, like he did in his comic run. So to me, it would have been really cool how we get to meet all of these characters. And then they announced that America Chavez was going to be in it. And I'm like, he went to the utopian parallel. That makes so much sense. But then it didn't happen. We didn't get the big, reveal. We got Agatha Harkness, which has got different spins. So then I thought, okay. So then we jumped right into Falcon and Winter Soldier, and we didn't really get a lot about any of that. So it was more like him coming to terms with being Captain America. So now we're at Loki, and now we're getting the real beef of what's actually going to start what is pretty much the Secret Wars. So I'm not hating it. I am not hating it. I just wish that we had I've always been that person that, I know you have these OP characters, you have these characters that are, they don't have a lot of weaknesses. So it's hard to defeat these people. So instead you recreate a variant you can, pretty much defeat. And, Immortus is very defeatable because he allowed himself to be defeated. I mean, there really wasn't a timeline I can think of where he would have had to use a device to predict 25 to 30 steps ahead. But again, this is all TVA. So this makes sense. TVA. He Who Remains was the last ever director of the TVA, but he is a being that has been mysterious since his creation. He was created, I think he appeared in 1976. That is the year I was born, guys. So I will be 45 this year. This is a 45-year-old character in creation and is a very old character. And I mean, again, don't get me wrong. I have no problem with them making this Immortus. I have no problem with that. I would have just loved to have seen the actual He Who Remains. I would have loved to have seen the actual timekeepers. The timekeepers were real. The time twisters were real. He Who Remains was very, very real. He had a very strong connection with Thor and Jane and a bunch of other people from Asgard in the comics. He's worked with a lot of different heroes to try and set the timeline correctly because he realized that his time twisters were pretty much the Bizarro of their universe, to Superman, basically. So I would have loved to have had He Who Remains be the one they did meet, and then him warning them, maybe stopping him, says, you don't know who's coming. That would have been very cool. And now it's got me thinking back to WandaVision when Agatha's like, you have no idea what you've done or what you've released, and yada, 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 being that, Wanda's a Nexus being. Instead of talking about Mephisto, more than likely, she could have been talking about Kang the Conqueror. We don't know. So it's all tied in. It is all tied in. So I don't know. I'm just so much coolness. This could also set up the Fantastic Four. Absolutely. 1,000,000,000%. Hi, Mercenary. How are you? Sylvie definitely pulled a Star-Lord. I know. As soon as she did it, I was like, crap. Even locally, it was like, crap. I feel so bad for Doctor Strange for the crap he has to deal with Wanda and Sylvie unleashing different kings in the multiverse. Yeah. I mean, it's great that we're going to have those connections with all the various timelines. I mean, I don't hate that. I mean, because, let's be real. The timelines were being literally eaten, because he was pruning all of these different timelines and all these different variants of himself and all these different, he was using the Alioth to basically eat all of these variants and timelines. So, to me, it is kind of exciting to see what we're going to get. Think about the Spider-Verse. The Spider-Verse also has a lot of, validity now because there's so many multiverses. So all of them being connected, it makes absolutely sense that we're going to get Spider-Verse. But I'm super excited for the Secret Wars because Secret Invasion was such a crazy comic series. It's just crazy. I cannot wait till we get the actual TV version, which is the Nick Fury TV show. I cannot wait till that is released. I know we are a long way from that, but I am super excited to see how it plays out because of all the characters that are coming and all of the characters that are, if they keep to the comics, are going to be screwed up. And again, my heart is Illuminati, please, for the grace of God, Illuminati. I need Illuminati in this. But I think for me, again, I did love this episode. Very well done. Super excited we're getting season 2. It's the only MCU show so far they've announced has a second season, which makes sense. We know that Loki is going to be in a lot of the movies that are coming out, a lot like Deadpool. I wish Deadpool had been in this, though. That would have been hilarious. Him just popping up out of nowhere would have been really funny. But I do wish that He Who Remains had been his comic counterpart self, because he has never been Nathaniel Richards. So, but again, I'm not hating on it at all. Immortus is a great, having him be Immortus is a great compromise, because he's not the King the Conqueror that we are going to see going forward. And I cannot wait to see how Majors change his acting style, because as Immortus, he's a villain, but he's kind of a smart ass, and he's kind of, a narcissist, and he's tired, and he wasn't lying. When he said, "I'm tired, I've been doing this a long time," I'm like, "Bat, you're Immortus," because that's exactly what Immortus would do. He's tired. He's been pruning these timelines. He's sick of he's sick of doing all it. He's tired. This is a man who's lived too long and doesn't want to do it anymore. And he was dead serious when he told Loki and Sylvie, "Take over. I'm out. I need a break. I'm either I'm either retiring or I'm dying today. One of these things is happening." So I do love that. I mean, as far as MCU reveals, this is probably one of the better ones. But the only thing I wish is that He Who Remains and the Time Twisters and Timekeepers have been actually more valid, meaning that the Timekeepers and the Time Twisters weren't made to be a concept, because they were actually beings in the comics. And the Time Twisters were so messed up. And it would have been really cool. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion, but it is what it is. I also feel bad for Doctor Strange. They left him a whole mess to clean up. They did. They really did. They always leave stuff for Doctor Strange to clean. Come on. They always leave stuff for him to do. If I was Doctor Strange, I would quit and get with that girl from Doctor Strange movie and be like, "Look, you want to be Sorcerer Supreme?" I mean, yeah, I can see that. One thing I've noticed throughout the start of phase 4 is that everyone needs therapy. Well, and that's not just the start of phase 4. That's back to phase 1. They always need therapy. All of them needed therapy. But yeah, true. Kang is going to be in the movie The Wasp, who played a part in defeating him in the comics. Yep, that is very true. Well, Kang's been defeated by many people in the comics, because he has fought the Avengers so many freaking times, so many times. I mean, not only was he a villain, there are times he was an ally. So it's like he's had so many. But I thought we were going to have Rama Tut first. I thought that's who we were going to see first. And then we were going to get King the Conqueror. Will we get, what was one of the other ones? Trying to think of some of his other names in the comic. Scarlet Crimson was one. I remember that. An Iron Lad. That's probably one that a lot of people knows. I don't know if we're ever going to, well, I mean, technically he did say we're going to see other variants, plural. So maybe we will see Iron Lad and, Rama Tut. I really want Rama Tut, though. I think they would be really passing up an opportunity if they did not include Rama in it, because that, a mess. I cannot wait to see how Major plays this. In my mind, I'm thinking this is going to be like a whole The Flash Wells situation where they all have different personalities. Maybe somebody has an accent and the other one does not. I mean, I really think that, he has a lot of muscle to flex acting wise and playing so many variants of himself. So I am excited with that. I think it's going to be really good. But I think it is Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumanium, I think it is, or Quantumonium is the name of the movie, but that doesn't come out. I want to say it doesn't come out until after Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange comes out, I believe, in March of 2022. I don't remember when Ant-Man and the Wasp sequel comes out. I'll have to look at that. But yeah, so we may have a minute to wait, which is interesting, unless they're lying to us. And he does make an appearance, because I think Loki makes an appearance in Doctor Strange too. So then, I don't know. What do you think of the possibility of Cassie Lang finally being Stature and Ant-Man and Wasp Quantum? I really think that they probably will, because we already have established Wiccan. We've got Speed, we got America Chavez, we're getting Kate Bishop and Hawkeye. We're getting all the Young Avengers. So I think it's highly possible that we're going to get Cassie Lang. The only thing that's going to be interesting for me with Cassie Lang is, if you remember, Cassie Lang got some of her ability from, some variations from the Power Broker. And now that that's Sharon, I need to see the connection between. This is going to be interesting. It is going to be very interesting to see if that is something that plays out in the movie, because the power broker is in there for a reason. And remember, in the actual comic world, the power broker's identity has never been revealed. Sharon is brand new. This is all MCU power broker. So that's why I said the MCU is its own Earth. It has got nothing to do with the comic books. So it takes loosely from the comics. It takes characters from the comics, but they are not the same situations. And if they are similar, then I just chalk it up to a parallel world. But now I think Cassie Lang was most definitely. Now, will it happen during the movie? I don't know. I mean, she's older now, and it could be at the end of the movie. She could be a post-credit scene. But considering we're moving into Young Avenger world, then yeah, I absolutely foresee her stature is going to be in it. I mean, absolutely for sure. We're getting every Young Avenger, so of course we're going to get stature. I hope Wanda has a big part in the Multiverse of Madness. I just really want Young Avengers. Like, I'm going to sue if we don't get it. We're going to get it. We're going to get it. I mean, think about this. Wanda is a Nexus being. So I'm still not convinced that the House of M storyline is not eventually going to play out, because at the end of WandaVision, remember in the post-credit scene, she was looking at the Darkhold and she heard her sons crying for help on another plane somewhere. So she's still going to try and get her kids. But if they stick to the comics, which they haven't because they were babies when they were killed, but if they stick to the reincarnation plot, they could be reincarnated a few times. So their first real reincarnation can happen after they get killed again when she gets them back. And then that drives her to do her whole House of M crap. And that's going to, if she does House of M, especially if the X-Men are established in their universe, it's going to throw a lot of crap in around. It's just, everything's going to be a mess. The multiverse is a mess anyway. I mean, you're dealing with multiple Earths where everything can go wrong. So of course, I know Disney has a hard time supporting LGBTQ, but if we don't get Wiccan and Hulking, I'm going to pull up Disneyland and pull them out by its tail. And I'm going to say more power to you. Yeah, it's interesting. I have seen a lot of people being in their feelings about the Owl House being canceled because of Lumity or Amity and Luz, and them canceling the show and only giving them a shortened version of, I think it's like 4 episodes, 22-minute episodes for their finale for season 3 instead of a whole season 3. And they're upset about that because it's the first main couple that's LGBT that Disney has done in a cartoon. And so people are upset about it. I don't know if that's why they pulled it. I don't know what Disney does because honestly, I don't pay attention to them most of the time. The only reason we talk about them now is that they've been releasing all the MCU content and they deal with Star Wars. And outside of that, I don't really pay attention to their politics. I don't pay attention to them. As somebody who is firmly placed in the LGBT community, yes, it is something that I question about a lot of organizations that take part and profit from things like Pride Month and are all gung-ho, including the channel you are currently watching me on. I get flagged for saying LGBT stuff on my own channel, and I'm an LGBT content creator. If I use the word queer, and you can actually test this, if you type this anywhere in my comment section, it will disappear. It is completely gone. If I put it in a title, my video will be demonetized. If I put any LGBT terms, it will be demonetized. So, but yet they support LGBTQ. So I don't get it. I don't know why LGBTQ words are bad on the current platform I'm using. So it's just something across the board. It doesn't make sense. I don't understand it, but pull that tail, man. The fact that they added Echo and Hawkeye, who is a Daredevil character, gives me hope that Matt Murdock is coming to the MCU. And see, I thought they showed pictures of Matt's actor from Daredevil Netflix as the lawyer representing Peter Parker in the movie. Now, I don't know if this is true, but people show, is his name Charlie Cox? I think that's the actor's name. It's been a minute, but I could have sworn some of the spoiler sites were posting pictures of him on the Spider-Man 3 set. I don't know. I mean, we're speculating, but it could be. I mean, it could be. And I mean, I'd be there for it because, again, in the comics, Daredevil and Peter Parker were very good friends. Of course, Peter was older, but they were very good friends. And if you're going to have that relationship again, it would be more of a Matt being a Peter, mentor, kind of like what, Tony Stark was before he passed. So I'm not complaining if Peter Parker and Matt Murdock become, kind of like a fatherly son or older brother or older mentor type, protege type relationship at all, because it would be very cool to see. I get it. No sense crying about spilled milk. This is just the cold world we live in. Anywhere I don't know why I have Strange. I would be like wanting to say no more timelines. I would love to. Could you see Wanda saying no more multiverse? But then you run into the danger of the wrong, timelines being erased. It could be the one you're in. She could say no more multiverse, and then it's like everybody's gone. There's just a void. It's the end of time. You're at the Citadel. But what I loved about what the dialogue was in the series with Immortus kind of said, I'll see you soon. He's like, because inevitably I'm just going to end up right back where I am right now. It's going to be a full circle. Even if I am killed by you, I'm eventually going to be right here. He already knows in his mind, you're not going to defeat me as Kang the Conqueror. You're not going to defeat me as Ramatut. You're not going to defeat me as anything. None of my other variants. At the end of the day, I'm going to defeat me. And in the comics, he is absolutely effing right. Because yes, other people have beaten him in fights, but he himself went back in time to help defeat him. So it's all exciting. It's exciting. They also said that She-Hulk series will break the fourth wall and that Matt is going to be in it with his suit. I would be very excited if that happens. I get it. Wanda will erase everything, but Strange will be like, well, back to the drawing board. No, it'll probably be Immortus. Immortus will be like, now I really got to make those timekeepers. And I'm like, start all this crap over again. But yeah, I mean, there's, like I said, there's so many things that they can do. And like with them doing that, having Kang and having Secret Invasion and Secret Wars, having like Wanda, basically throwing out multiverse, a Nexus bridge scenarios with Doctor Strange, having Spider-Man jumping into the Spider-Verse. They have a ton to work with, and they keep throwing stuff at us that just continues on. Like we have Shang-Chi, and then we have, Jimmy Woo, and we have him, being referred to by Monica Rambeau at the end of WandaVision as very good leader material. And we know that Jimmy is literally the boss, the head honcho of the Atlas Foundation. So does that mean we're getting, pretty much Amadeus Cho, we're getting Silk, we're getting Wave, we're getting Arrow, we're getting all of the Asian Marvel characters that we don't get all at one time through Jimmy's character? Because it seems like they're setting that up. If it's not happening in phase 4, it might happen in phase 5. But it looks like they are not only dealing with what's going to happen in phase 4, they're setting up 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like probably the next 20 years of the MCU. So it's exciting. That's why when we speculate on what's going to happen and it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. These little Easter eggs we see 10 years from now, we were watching a Marvel movie and we're like, ha, damn it, I saw that in WandaVision. Because that is what the MCU does. So, it's a thing. It is a thing. And like, I'm not hating on it. Two of the characters I really want to be in MCU proper is Cloak and Dagger. I hated that they canceled the show. Yeah, I hated they canceled the Runaways too. I would love and see with Nico. Miko was actually Lady Loki's adopted daughter and the adopted sister of America Chavez. Yeah, in the comics and on another Earth, because America jumps Earths or multiverses. So I would have loved to have seen that kind of crossover, because there's a lot, the Runaways were pretty instrumental in a lot of the battles with the Avengers, and they had a little bit to do in Secret Wars. So I mean, every Marvel character had a little bit to do in Secret Wars, but I don't know. It was really sad that they did that. But again, I think it's because of Disney Plus, with them basically establishing all of these canon shows that are in the Marvel universe. From what I can tell, the Runaways and Cloak and Dagger aren't even considered canon, but don't quote me on that. I know that Kevin Feige was going around saying that, the Netflix series aren't canon, that, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. After a certain season is not considered canon. So and as far as he's concerned, he was saying in an interview that he considers WandaVision to be the first canon TV MCU verse. And which to me is not cool, but whatever, whatever. But at the same time, I mean, there are a lot of characters they need to bring back. Like I was so happy to see Lady Sif and Loki. It's not even funny because I did not think that Jamie Alexander was ever coming back. And I did not see her. I don't think I've seen her as Sif since Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, I'm hoping that we see her in Thor Love and Thunder. We probably won't. Like that's more of a Jane Foster themed movie. And I know her cancer is going to play a lot in that. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I'm hoping it would be nice if she was in it. But again, I don't know. I mean, will we see Sylvie in that? I don't know. Because we need to have Enchantress in that movie. But who knows? Who knows? Like I said, all of this setup, all of these Easter eggs, all these little things that we notice on the sides could all be set up for movies that aren't even coming out for 5 to 10 years from now. Like these are these are the Easter eggs that you will remember in 10 years. And right now we're just focusing on this. So yeah. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was semi-canon, but hopefully this multiverse opens the gateway for some of those TV shows to make their way to TV. Well, yeah, and then with a multiverse, you could still call it canon because, like I said, how they're handling it right now with the MCU is going to be the test for me because, I love Marvel, I love DC. There's so many different canon verses that I love in terms of comics, but Crisis on Infinite Earth was destroyed by the CW and the interconnectivity and their lack thereof in these shows on the CW has shown me that this is not how you do a multiverse scenario. And I'm hoping the MCU does not do the same thing. Because, I mean, I'm going to be real with you. They got me on the time travel. I still have not wrapped my mind around how time travel works based on the rules and Endgame. I don't understand time travel. And I watch loads of time travel series. I'm a big Doctor Who nerd. I like Back to the Future. I love Sliders. I love Quantum Leap. So I love anything to do with multiple realities and anything to do with like time travel. I am here for it. I do not understand MCU's logic behind time travel. So that's the only concern I have in terms of dealing with the multiverse. It's dealing with, is this basically the case of I can do whatever I want and not affect anything ever? But yeah, in Loki, it seems like going back and affecting certain scenarios brought consequence and you have variants that affect the timeline. But how is that true when you literally had Captain America go back in time and relive his best life and then reappear as an old man back in his normal timeline, which doesn't make sense because he should have actually branched into a brand new timeline and never see him again. So I'm very confused. I am confused on how all of that works. So time travel for me in the MCU rule book of time travel makes zero sense to me. And I have tried to understand it. I just can't. So yeah, that's where I am with that. When Kevin Feige was asked about Venom being the MCU, he said that he wouldn't rule anything out. I know that's what got me really shocked when he talked about the Netflix show and he was talking about Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, that's the same thing. I don't know. Crisis on Infinite Earths. I don't think I have enough medicine to even talk about that whole mess. Yeah, I might need a straitjacket. like I said, I've got the first parody episode on my channel where we make fun of Crisis on Infinite Earth, and I finally got the last line in, the line that I was missing for the part 2. So that one should be up too pretty soon because I have to finish editing it. But it's hilarious because I basically make fun of most plot points in Crisis, and it just never made sense. It doesn't make sense. MCU time travel makes no sense to me either. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. I don't get it. So I'm just fingers crossed that the multiverse will not have the same effect on me that their definition of time travel does, because it doesn't make sense does not make sense, because I kind of felt like Loki was done very well, but at the same time, it was a complete contradiction to what we learned in Endgame about time travel. So it's a thing. It is a thing, guys. But yeah, but my closing recap is that, like, we didn't have an after scene, obviously, or, you know, after credit scene or post credit scene. But we did, of course, on the document file, we saw Loki's getting season 2. It makes me wonder if any of the other series are going to get a season 2, because technically they didn't say we weren't getting another Falcon and Winter Soldier. I mean, more than likely it'll be a movie, but they didn't say we weren't getting one. WandaVision has no reason to have a sequel, but they could explore something else, because being a Nexus being, that is a big deal. So I would love to have them explore that. Plus, where's White Vision? We don't know. So we do have things that need to be resolved in that. I don't know if we're going to see him in Doctor Strange too. I mean, I don't think we are, but you never know. And then also, like, I don't know if She-Hulk would be something that they would give another season 2, because I kind of think it's going to be campier than the. I'm not saying there's not going to be dark moments, but I feel like it's going to be campier than the other shows are. And Hawkeye, from what I have learned from the post-credit scene of Black Widow, I have not watched Black Widow, but Joe the Geek Show has, and he kind of gave me some spoilers, which I will not really spoil anything in here. But something does happen in the post scene that relates to Hawkeye, and I wonder if that character is going to show up in his series. So, and then how that's going to be connected. And then if we're having Kate Bishop as the protege, which that makes perfect sense, then does that mean that the show will get a sequel, and then it will be about Kate Bishop's Hawkeye, or will it just be her going into a Young Avengers situation? I don't know. It's just it's all a mess. Like, it's all a mess. And again, I'm not unexcited, because I mean, there's so much they can do, and it's going to be very entertaining. At least it's going to be entertaining. It's going to make you analyze the hell out of it, and that's what they want. So I mean, it's a thing. Time travel will always be the one concept where no one can explain it. True. I mean, even with Doctor Who, what I love about Doctor Who is Doctor Who makes fun of itself in terms of time travel. Well, he will even say, and at this point, even she will say, it's a plot hole. Like, it's basically a plot hole. Don't ask questions. There are fixed points, and then there are plot holes. So it's a thing. I really hope Agatha goes to the side of good and becomes Wanda's teacher. If Loki can't turn around, then so can Agatha. Well, see, and that's the thing. I really thought Agatha would have been her comic book self, where she was already the teacher, and she was the nanny for Reed and Sue's son, Franklin. And of course, what happened with Franklin when he fought Mephisto and took his soul out and made him in the shards. And then, of course, that's when Wanda made them into her babies. And it was actually Agatha that erased Wanda's mind, or memories of all of that, so she could function and not be cuckoo. So I don't know. It's a thing. Hello, Geronimo. How are you? Except the Marvel TV was fruit of the poison tree, with that gruff between Fine and I forget the guy's name, but it was bad enough for ABC to step in and suggest the split in season 4 or so. Huh. And good evening, by the way. Yeah, like, I know there's a lot of behind the scenes drama and all of this crap. It's sad. It is what it is. We always love just the content that we watch, and we don't want to know about the behind the scenes stuff, because that's how you ruin your disbelief. You can't suspend your disbelief when people don't get along and all of this crap is happening behind the scenes, and then you kind of takes away from it. But I choose to ignore all of their drama because it doesn't pay my bills. So I don't care. I don't give a crap what they do. It's always funny to say Wanda had devil children. I mean, she did. She literally was Rosemary's baby. They're Rosemary's babies. It's just what it is. But again, in episode 6 of Loki, the one thing, and I know you guys met you guys call her a split personality. I just call her Angry Grandma. Angry Grandma was in the elevator with them when Majors was picking his nose for that scene with that apple. He was like, put it on. I was like, I'm about to smack. I said, he who remains really was about to be he who got stomped in the elevator. Like, because it made me have issues, guys. It made me have issues. I just had to put it out there. The actress that played Yelena arrived in New York in a leaked photo of her earlier this year, and the only project that makes sense for actors to be in is Hawkeye. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking is happening too. I just didn't want to say it because I didn't know who didn't see the movies. I just didn't want to say it. Except for Black Lightning, I need to know what happened. Black Lightning, I'd never considered part of the Arrowverse. And honestly, considering he was literally in Crisis on Infinite Earths for a total of 16 minutes across all the episodes he appeared in, he was not part of the Arrowverse. Like, he was my parody. All Black heroes are ninjas. That's literally one of the lines that Diggle says. I think it was Diggle that said it. Or what's your superpower? I'm Black, and all they're like ninjas. They literally are in the background, and then you just don't know they're in the background, and they're just gone. But Crisis made a lot of stupid decisions anyway. I mean, honestly, if I was trying to save, and I've said this a million times, if I'm trying to save all of the infinite amounts of Earths from being destroyed, I do not pass over an entire effing planet of Kryptonians and just pull Superman from Superman and Lois, his wife, and then say, all right, everybody else, I know that the sun will also affect you in a very kick-ass way too, but deuces, and then let them all die. And then just go on various, points and like, hey, Iris, you can come. Yeah, Barry, you can come too. You're kind of useful. Black Lightning, I'm going to pull you, but your daughter, who is literally your charger, who is infinitely like strong and literally can convert energy and is pretty badass. I think you call her Lightning. I'm gonna leave her at home. Oh yeah, I'm gonna leave Thunder too, because I got Ryan Choi, and Choi's gonna come and be a paragon because he's gonna watch YouTube videos and learn to fight. Peace. That is Crisis on Infinite Earth right there. F that series. F it. Yes, I just turned my Loki review into a basically stomp Crisis on Infinite Earth rant. I apologize. Hi, Kevin. How are you? Black Lightning was a forgotten stepchild. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And Diggle's not helping me with my blood pressure with all these cameos he's doing without being a lantern. But you know what? It's fine. I'm trying to prepare myself mentally for Charm tomorrow. You and me both. Sure, they did Black Lightning like the older brother on Happy Days and the middle child on Family Matters. Middle child. Judy wasn't the middle child. Judy was the youngest. Judy went up the stairs and never came back. We're like, there was Eddie, then there was Laura, and then there was Judy. And Judy's like, Mom, I'm going upstairs to do my homework. Girl never came back. Like, they never explained where Judy went. Judy was gone. I'm like, is that how you get rid of kids? I've been a mother for almost 25 years. I didn't know they could just go up the stairs and never come back. That's interesting. So yeah, that's a thing, guys. That is a thing. I'm like, just throwing it out there. But Loki, loved it. Very, very excited for season 2. Very excited for how this is going to affect Doctor Strange and the literally madness of the multiverse. Very excited to see what Wanda's role is in that. And I'm also very excited to see America Chavez, even though I am still I'm not upset. I'm not like these raving Twitter people that go crazy over stuff like this, but I really wish they had cast her a little bit older, only because if you actually read West Coast Avengers and you've seen how Kate Bishop and America Chavez interact with each other, they are effing hilarious. And they're like BFFs in the comics. And it's hard for me to see a 14-year-old and a 27-year-old have that relationship. They can't do that. They can't talk about each other's love lives. They can't talk crap to each other because it's going to be like a 27-year-old being mean to a child. So I really wish they had cast America older, especially if she's going to be a young Avenger. But to be fair, this could be the America Chavez that ran away from home to become a hero and jump through the multiverse when her mother's died. And we might get an older version of her in the actual Young Avengers movie. But who knows? Who knows? I don't know. It's the MCU. They do their own crap. So it is what it is. At least Chuck got a basketball to dribble as he went upstairs. True. That's very true. Crisis just logically makes no sense. He obviously can pull people out of the viewers and save them, yet he picked and choose. Crisis on Infinite Earths made no sense because Let me just use this as an example. This is the Book of Destiny. I can write your name in it and write what paragon you are, and you are that paragon. You know how we know that? Because that's exactly what Lex Luthor did to Kingdom Come freaking Superman. So then why did you need to travel to these Earths? I need to find the last paragon. No, you don't. You're like, hey, you, what's your name? You want to be paragon? Booyah. I'm like, Black Lightning, you want to be a paragon? Booyah. We can assign you this role in the Book of Destiny with a pen. Oh, but don't worry, we're not actually going to use the Book of Destiny for anything else, just to assign names, because we need a seating chart. You know what? Don't get me on this. Don't get me on this, guys. Don't you get me on that. Do it. I wish Sylvie had to take a walk upstairs. Yeah, that would have saved the MCU Phase 4 a lot of trouble. Also, with Crisis, I have another problem, but I'll type it in the comments because it's kind of hard to explain. Type it in there. I remember the review you and Blur did that night after. Yeah, I think, because see, I watched it before Blur did. So I called him and I'm like, you're going to be so mad. And he was like, I'm calling the cops for character assassination. And I'm like, yeah, because he is a big Spectre fan. And what they did to Spectre, he was just done. But to be fair, Blurred has given up on the Arrowverse, period. He doesn't watch the Arrowverse anymore. So I update him now and then, but he's not there. I'm really excited for the Ironheart series. Yes, Ruri's coming. I'm very, very happy. I mean, I'm excited to see Riri Williams. I don't know who they cast because I haven't been keeping up with casting information. I need to, guys, but I am excited. I think that it's gonna be cool, and I know people are in their feelings about it. But she was actually a comic character. A lot of people wanted her. They wanted Iron Man's successor to be his daughter, but I mean, comic accurately, Riri Williams was. Yeah, what? I'm just gonna leave it alone. Sylvie is the equivalent of Barry messing up the timeline. Yeah, and then having lines in the episode, like the episode on Tuesday, where they talk about the first rule of the West Allen household is not disrupt the timeline. I'm like, since when? I'm like, did they like literally have to write that 100 times on a blackboard? I will not F up time. With Sylvie, I felt like Tyra Banks yelling at the TV to see when she was going, I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. Yeah, we're like, you could have been a contender, Sylvie. I'm telling you, when that happened, that freaking voice we heard on all the YouTube videos was like, it was in that moment she realized she effed up. Like literally played in my head after she did it and sat down. I was like, uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Know what they say? What your grandma say? A hard head makes a soft. You will learn today, little girl. Literally got me through remodeling my girlfriend's bathroom for a Christmas present. I never thanked you, but thank you. You're welcome. I'm glad that our review helped you in your HGTV remodeling endeavors. You DIY that, man. We here for you. But I kind of feel like Sylvie, in a way, had to go through this, because if Sylvie hadn't done this, then we wouldn't have Phase 4. So should we really be mad at Sylvie, or should we be excited that she was the one is going to give us all the good content that's dysfunctional for the next 2 or 3 years? Like, pick your poison. Pick your poison. I'm still under the impression that she's not a Loki variant. She is Enchantress, because in the comics, Sylvie was basically created by Loki, and she doesn't know if she was human. She doesn't know if he just made her out of thin air. They don't really clarify, but either way, Loki did it. And that's where I could see the mistrust being from, is like, I didn't even know I was real. You did this to me, you son of a bitch. You know, it's just that whole relationship was interesting. I will say I have seen on a lot of the Reddit boards with Loki and Sylvie that there was like a debate over the ships, because people were shipping Loki with Sylvie, which, if that is a true Loki variant, it is narcissistic, because it means you're in love with yourself. But at the same time, the writers, the showrunners, all of them were like, we don't have any interest in making this a romantic pairing. And then what did they do in the episode? They locked them lips. I'm like, now I don't know about you. I don't make it a habit of making out with my friends. So But I saw that ship flying. They didn't write them as friends from the beginning. They wrote them that they had sexual tension towards each other, which again is very narcissistic because you are literally in love with the female version of yourself. You just love yourself a little too much, Loki. Let's see. Make sure. Dominique Thorne was casted as Riri Williams. Oh, okay, cool. I'm going to look at a picture of her. So yeah, I am excited. I need to get all the timelines right. I just remember that March is when 2022 is when the new Doctor Strange movie is coming out. So I am very excited. I actually worked for Sherwin-Williams for a while doing just that, funny enough. You the man. Because I love DIY. I craft a lot, but you have to have patience to do a complete renovation, and I don't. Now my spouse has that. I'll do the decorating, and I'll say, River, go make the sink happen. You go do that. Work your magic. And I'll be there when it's done. And look, I will tell you how lazy I am in terms of remodeling. Right now, to my right, my wonderful spouse, River, is playing Animal Planet for me. Not River's Animal Planet. Not Animal Planet, sorry, Animal Crossing. And is literally reorganizing the trees and everything else on my island because I'm too tired to move them. So is literally landscaping my island for me, not just my house area, the entire damn island. That is my Sherman-Williams experience. All the branches, I was just shaking my head, so disappointed yet happy for all the possibilities. Yeah, and that's the ones that we saw because Loki kept looking forward, but I know that they were talking about all of the branches being pruned and all of them just, I'm just like, oh, it's a mess, guys. It is a mess. I want Kid Loki to come back though, because Kid Loki was cool. I do wish that Grant had stayed around because classic Loki was really, really good. That would have been a very good character to have going forward. And maybe in some capacity, if we're dealing with time travel MCU version, maybe we will see Grant again as Silver Age or Golden Age Loki. But yeah, there's so many things they can do. It's good and bad because that means if MCU screws something up, they'll just blame it on the timeline. I'm like, oh, that was another timeline. I'm like, you lies. Like, that's your scapegoat because that's what the CW does with Crisis. They blame it on Crisis. It's full of crap. I'm going to make another Crisis video, guys, where I talk about all the stuff that makes no sense with Crisis on Infinite Earths. So be prepared. That is a video that I am making. It's going to be called The Crap Post Crisis. Good title, I'm sure. So, all right, we are getting into 52 minutes. So we're about to bunk out of here. A few more questions. Your spouse sounds like they deserve an applause. And so you're the stager, the one who tosses the pillow in and takes the credit. Marriage. I'm like, actually, I am the designer because I sketch out what I want. And I say I want this, and this. And then River does it. Like, we have a 50-50 marriage. We have 50-50. It's 50-50. It's just when it comes to the very hard labor, I am a very weak person. So if you're waiting for me to do it, it's going to be phase 20. So let's put it that way. Yes, Crisis Flame 2.0. Oh, it's happening. It is happening. I really don't want this stream to end because I'm going to bed after then. It's Friday, and you know what that means. I'm sorry, Blue. I know Charmed is coming out tomorrow. Guys, we can do it. We got this. I will set up. When I get off of this stream, I'm going to create the stream for right after Charmed. So you will have me as your therapist. And if it's bad, if the ship goes down, no, I will have the preserver for you. I will talk all the crap you need me to talk because I'm going to be talking crap. I will let you know that we are going to flow off to safety because no matter what happens, we aren't casting this show. So that is our lifeline right there. So it's going to be okay. I got you. All right, guys. I love you. I'm going to go watch more TV. I got to do a Kung Fu update too, but I think I'm going to do Kung Fu tomorrow, as well as our Charm stream tomorrow night. So Kung Fu, we have a few things to talk about since the season finale of that is next week. I have lost a lot of steam on Kung Fu. I'm just letting you know, but I owe it to you guys to finish out the series since I've done all the other episodes. So we will talk about that. As for the Republic of Sarah, I have decided to do an overview of the series because it's a whole other series. And like, I just really need to focus my mind on deciphering all the crap that's happening in it. So, it's a thing. So I'm 3 episodes behind, but I'm going to do a big overview of season 1. So I haven't stopped it. I'm just going to do an overview of the whole thing. It's a lot easier. But all right, I will see you guys tomorrow. We are going to have our Kung Fu and our Charm streams. So be prepared. I will set them up. Look at the community board. It will show you the times. And you guys, if it's night for you, have a great night. If it's day for you, have a very good day. And I will see you on Friday. Bye, guys.